Hello, everybody. We're back here at the Game Changer for, as Ruchi would say, another day, another video. And as you can see, it's a bit of a different cast today. So again, I'm Tommy McCabe, and I'm here with Jamie Hamilton. It's good to see you, Jamie.
It's great to be here, Tommy. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to doing some analysis with you guys here in the Game Changer.
Thanks. Yeah, this is a lovely break in my day from packing and moving across the United States. So thank you for joining me for this. So today we're going to talk about Arsenal Liverpool that ended in a 0-0 draw. And many people might be like, hey, it's a 0-0 draw. We don't have a lot to talk about. And we're going to try to make this as entertaining as possible with a 0-0 draw. So hopefully you guys enjoy. To start, I'll go over the lineups from today and or from last night and some of the missing players for both teams. So for Arsenal, it was David Raya, Hincapié, Gabriel, Saliba, and Timber at the back line. Given some of the injuries they've had at the back line, this seems like their first choice back four. Timber over Ben White, and then with Calafiori and Skelly either being hurt or just not first choice at the moment. Hincapié has had a nice run of starts here, and then this is at the moment their preferred midfield of Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard, and then across the front line, Saka, Gyökeres, and Trossard, with Jesus and Havertz returning from longer term injuries as a different option at the nine. Jesus ends up coming into this game later on, and then Trossard being preferred over Eze and Martinelli, with Madueke coming off the bench for Arsenal. So that's Arsenal's team. Pretty standard for the month of December into January for what they've looked like. Not many real tweaks in the shape and structure from the team that we kind of need to address before going on to the unique game. For Liverpool's side, they started with Allison in goal, Bradley, Konate, Van Dijk, and Kirkez along the back line. And then in the midfield, at least for Liverpool, they've kind of gone for more of a diamond shape or 4-2-3-1 with Verts and Szoboszlai as more double tens with the double six of Gravenberch and McAllister. Some people would view that as a box or diamond, and we'll kind of touch on maybe why it looked more like a diamond and trying to create a central overload with those four players. While Frimpong and Gakpo, we'll talk about them on both sides of the ball. They had very interesting roles for this one, but they were basically wide players that sometimes occupied the half spaces in attack and then had a monumental task defensively. And those two specifically, I think, did a really good job with their roles and kind of occupying four players of Arsenal's back line with two. So that Verts or Szoboszlai, I think mainly Verts would be a free player between lines. So that's a quick overview of the lineup. Is there anything, Jamie, you'd want to talk about with the lineup or some of your just general thoughts of the game so far?
Well, when I saw the lineup, I was pretty interested to see how Liverpool would line up without Ekitike, with Verts operating in this false nine position. It's an interesting one. He's such a fantastic link-up player and creative player. So it was always going to be a major factor how Liverpool could use that to generate advantages. In terms of Arsenal, like you said, not many surprises there with that lineup. We know how Arsenal play; they're incredibly good at doing it. And I suppose for Arteta, it was more of the same he was after.
And as you'll see at the bottom, the one thing I thought was interesting as this game played on, and maybe kind of demonstrates how each manager was viewing success for this game. Arsenal went on to make five subs, while Liverpool was only forced into making one sub extremely late into the game because Connor Bradley's injury. So now we'll go on and discuss one of what we both view as the main themes of the game, which is kind of attacking Arsenal's attacking intent, and then Liverpool's attacking intent and defensive structure in response to that. So we're going to look at a quick overview of these attacking sequences, maybe where they were most dangerous, where they weren't dangerous. And I think it's pretty clear with a 0-0 draw, there weren't a whole lot of chances and a lot of high quality chances. So when we're looking at maybe some of those statistics to reflect the game, there weren't a ton. But I think one thing that we thought was very interesting was the focus for both teams in attacking the flanks and the wide areas. Both Arsenal against a lower Liverpool block, and how their preference as always has to been attack down the right side, but also a preference to attack down the left. And because Liverpool was so deep, and it was basically, as we'll touch, a single defensive line, it opened up a possibility for central attacking play, which was used maybe more frequently than in other Arsenal matches, but maybe not to its fullest potential. And then I think as you look at Liverpool's um, attack by flanks, very much right side dominant, with Frimpong being the outlet and that midfield overload really occupying the right side of the field. And then the pure expected goals number was quite low. So I think maybe more resting with the ball, less possession overall, and more of an emphasis on stopping Arsenal's attacking play in wide areas. Is there anything before we go into some of the pictures and clips you want to add on this here, Jamie?
No, like you said, Tommy, fairly low XG game, low chance creation game, and I think we're pretty familiar by now with Arteta's Arsenal's strategy, highly effective strategy. They don't target central combinations too much. They look for those wide 1v1s, those cross balls, generate chances from set pieces. So yeah, I think it played out in that manner. In terms, yeah, for Liverpool, it was more of a conundrum, right? How to create chances with Wirtz as the false nine dropping in to make the overload steeper. Could they then find the next step to generate chances through that? And obviously, Frimpong, as Slot has talked about, being a primary outlet on the right.
Perfect. And now we're going to go into kind of one of the main themes that we wanted to talk about first. So with that, this was a common theme when Arsenal was attacking, as we just discussed. They try to attack in the wide areas. And then from that moment, look to go 1v1, create a moment for an in-swinging cross or a late kind of overload, late overlap or half space run to open up maybe Saka's left foot, or to find the ball for a Timber to receive inside the box for, again, a cross to the back post. A lot of these outcomes that they're looking for, as you can see, we're about getting the ball into these 1v1 situations for an in-swinging cross. And I think from Liverpool's perspective, as you see on the screen, did a very good job of matching Arsenal's numbers in wide areas, and then at the same time eliminating that back post overload. With the in-swinging crosses, Liverpool defended it quite well. And so now we're going to go over this video and allow Jamie to kind of talk about what he's seeing at this moment.
Football is evolving, and we want you to be part of this evolution. We have created a community for people who are passionate about the game and want to reflect on it. Inside the Game Changer, on our platform, you will find clips on collective and individual trends, set-piece actions from teams around the world, matches in tactical cameras, monthly talks with professionals, and a space for discussion and reflection about the game among members. Get access to exclusive discounts on our educational courses and additional content. Join the Game Changer using the discount code TGCLab. You will find the link in the description of this video.
Okay, and now we're going to discuss that same clip or same picture with a clip, and Jamie's going to kind of talk us through what he's seeing from Arsenal's perspective as well.
Sure. And like we've said in the introduction there, we can see Arsenal oriented already to playing wide to Saka, especially. Such a dangerous player, such a gifted wide player. But already it's worth noting the space in the centre, in front of the Liverpool defensive line. There's not really options or connections in there because Arsenal prefer these wide attacks. And here's Saka engaging in the 1v1, cutting in, dangerous cross. Also an advantage, right, of having guys like Hincapie up in the top line. They can attack these crosses at the back post. Timber on the other side, he also got in situations when the ball came from the other side. But that's one of the main attacking strategies for Arsenal. They'll look for second balls as well. They didn't get one that time, but shots from the edge of the box, second balls, they like that kind of thing. Again, big spaces opening up. There's an offer not taken. Look for the spaces in front of the line, in between the between the Liverpool midfield and defensive line. But that's something interesting as well here. We see Arsenal with big emphasis, right, on having the 5 channels occupied. In this situation, it's Timber occupying that right half space. I think it's Gakpo's forced back into that defensive role there. So perhaps a little bit targeting Gakpo's lack of defensive nous in this moment in time, not so natural for him. And again, we'll see Arsenal do this a lot, attacking depth, attacking the backline, manipulating the backline, balls in behind, runs in behind. They like it a lot. Direct play. Timber gets in. And it's actually a decent opening, but well defended by Liverpool. Arsenal not quite with the movement or the numbers in the box. But I think it's generally a good clip to start with to show Arsenal's attacking intent, right? Staying away from those central combinations and being more oriented to width and runs into depth.
Can you go back to briefly when Saliba has the ball at his feet? I think it's right. Yeah, start here. So I think what's very interesting about this, like you just said, if you pause right here. So obviously we've talked about the threat level of Saka and Trossard in wide areas, specifically Saka. And I think in order to counteract that, Liverpool is very aggressive with their fullbacks and sending them out immediately. And in theory, when you're thinking about a back four in that way, it opens up a lot of space between the fullback and center back for a kind of a penetrating pass in behind. Maybe some teams would view that as, hey, can we get Saka in behind with that pass from this situation? And I think Arsenal, when they're facing a lot of low blocks, run into a position where their center backs are in wide areas initiating attack, whether it's with a diamond or a triangle in this moment. And I think what Liverpool did was so unique with this game was instead of dropping their wide mids outside of their fullbacks, they dropped them on the inside of their fullbacks and they became more man oriented with their direct opponent, which would be Timber or Hincapié. But as you just said, when your threat level is so high with Saka and Gakpo, a natural forward or wide mid, is having to defend right next to your 2 center backs, even if he's in the right position, it gives Timber a slight advantage maybe because he's more used to playing in these positions. And as you can see, I think this is a great example of that connection where Gakpo's body shape is very square. And even if he's in the correct position, he's not facing the right way as Timber's moving in behind. So it opens up a really nice gap. And I think this is a moment where, as you said, Arsenal maybe could have gotten a better chance out of that situation.
Yeah, and they love manipulating that, overloading that back line and finding those depth run through. That's for sure.
So now we're going to look at a different one, kind of same concept, but from the other side of the field.
Yeah, and I suppose this is just to illustrate, 1v1s can be extremely effective, especially when you have very high quality wide players. It's Trossard in this situation. You mentioned the aggressive fullbacks. There they go, straight out to meet Trossard. And the intention, it's pretty clear that the intention from Arsenal here is that Trossard engages in the 1v1, right? There aren't players moving towards Trossard to look for 1-2s or little combination flicks and tricks to move on into the inside channels there. It's more like, no, okay, 1v1, let's go. And Trossard is pretty good in these situations a lot of the time, and he does well here. Really nice skills, gets himself into a really good position. But what I would say is that in those seconds when Trossard is facing up the fullback, it's Bradley, right? It's pretty static in the middle, and the Liverpool defense are able to see everything. They're able to see their marks. They're able to see people arriving late and be prepared and well positioned to guard against cutbacks and low crosses. Doesn't mean you'll always be able to stop them, of course, but it does give them that opportunity to be set when the cross comes in. And that is what happens in this situation and a few situations in this game, actually. So just a comment there on 1v1s being effective for sure, but they do allow the defense to be set, right?
Yeah, and I think one thing that's interesting about maybe Arsenal's attacking dynamics here is Trossard's very good at slowly going at a 1v1, where I think their intent maybe is, yes, if he can get by him, great, but he does a lot of these double moves where then if you pause here, let's say it's not on for him to get end line with these double moves. He's in theory shifted Liverpool over to that side where then if Arsenal wants to switch the point of attack again through their center backs or a six, then they have Odegaard, Timber, Saka all on the opposite side of the field. That if they do it fast enough, those guys might have an advantage on that side of the field. And maybe that's one of the reasons why you see Arsenal with attacking or higher chance creation from their right side of the field versus their left. And this is something I think it's Trossard's very good at, but maybe doesn't kind of fall on the stat sheet or in the kind of glamorous stuff that helps Arsenal's attacking dynamics. And then again, like you talked about, you have Timber as a strategy being the first or the deepest player attacking the ball inside the box, and Arsenal really pinning all of Liverpool's 11 players into their own box, which was a theme for the first half as well. And then for the next one, we have one more clip kind of on this topic here.
Yeah, so this is towards the end of the half. Arsenal created a couple of openings. We've showed a couple, but real big chances. This is, as you say, they pinned Liverpool back for a lot of the half and enjoyed a lot of possession in Liverpool's half. You can see again Liverpool essentially defending with a line of six in this situation. Not really what you would call a compact block, I think it's fair to say. Not like a narrow 4-4-2 or narrow 5-4-1 that's really denying space in between the lines. And I think that's probably conscious, whether it was before the match or just something that the players intuited through the game, that Arsenal weren't really creating these combinations in moments like this, right? I think it's Gyökeres now dropping in for this pass. There's not movements from Hincapie or Timber or Odegaard is far away to make a little third man connection there in the half space or something like that. It's much more, okay, Gyökeres just going to bounce it. We'll go back. A little bit circulation. They have a line of seven defending now. And again, big spaces. Look around the referee. Or there's spaces where number 10s would like to play. There's another ball in. Is there a flick? Is there a little bit of movement around for a third man? Is there a quick turn on the ball? Not really. Again, so it's more just bounce back. We have a look for the wide one, for the 1v1. Half space underlap run to support, not used. Again, is there something inside? A little inside diagonal. We see them from many teams. Marco Silva's Fulham, one of the teams that fires that into Jimenez. It's not going in there from Arsenal. Huge space now opening up. And you can see it's actually a line of 8 from Liverpool at this point, with no one really around the referee, 2 out pressing the Arsenal's build, 3. So it's quite a strange shape to see, really, for a game like this. You wouldn't find that in many coaching manuals, I don't think. But again, I think it's because Liverpool are pretty sure that ball isn't going in now on an inside diagonal for a combination. They're happy to say, no, just we'll leave that space free and we'll defend wide areas, defend the centre. But Arsenal are top of the league for a reason, right? They're very good. And when they get situations in wide areas, they have some nice dynamics. They feel a bit more freedom to play, I think, in wide areas, probably because it's less dangerous to lose the ball theoretically in those situations. And we see Odegaard approach Saka, which is nice to see them together. I love these little dummies, these step overs, and we get the third man, Timber, in again behind. A decent situation, not easy for Timber to cross that. And again, Liverpool are all set and marked in the box. It's a wide attack. Again, not dealt with. So again, we see this real clear intentions from Arteta's team. They're not really worried or bothered about trying to pick their way through, pick the lock through the centre. They actually did have one just after this attack, just before half-time, where they nearly got in with Saka. But clearly the intention is to really hammer home the advantages in the wide areas from these crosses. And it seemed to me that Liverpool had really clocked onto that, Tommy.
Yeah, I think this is a brilliant clip for Arsenal's attacking intent, but also how Liverpool decided to counteract that. And right there, I think with Gyökeres's bounce pass, we talked about this briefly with Gyökeres versus Aston Villa, and how sometimes Unai Emery's team with more bigger profile forwards like Gyökeres, Haaland, where the midfield becomes more man oriented and they allow that central pass from center back into 9, and then they use that as a trap to either win that ball back higher up the field or force Arsenal into situations that they don't want. And I think that's definitely the case here in this one, but also I think the greater issue is Liverpool's decision to, hey, we are managing a line no matter how many people at the top of this 18-yard box, and we don't necessarily care about protecting between the lines because in this situation there aren't many lines to play between at all. Uh, there's at most two lines with a back eight and two midfielders or forwards, whatever you want to call it. And then I think we also talk about Arsenal can still break this down from wide areas. And you're spot on with the interchange between Saka and Odegaard. And personally, I watch a lot of Arsenal. One of my favorite things is when Odegaard kind of plays that little slip pass where he's receiving right now in that moment, or even more in field. Um, but the roles are reversed. It's Saka receiving that in that little kind of like cut pass back. And he creates a lot of chances to go 1v1 or shoot from that. But yeah, I think this is a great clip for what we saw a lot of in this game. And so now we're going to move on. So now just kind of pivot off some of the other side of the ball from some of the same sequences we saw. So I thought it was very interesting how Liverpool shaped up defensively, and many people might view it as to start a standard 4-4-2. But then from that moment, I think the responsibilities of Gakpo and Frimpong were really interesting, and Liverpool opted to rarely, if ever, go man to man, creating a 2v1 at the back with Konate and Van Dijk very, very close together, marking Gyökeres to start the game. And then Gakpo, Frimpong really being man-oriented with the levels that the fullbacks move in. So if Hincapié or Timber go to the last line, then they would follow, even if it meant being between the center back and fullback. And then if they were part of the build, then Gakpo kind of assumed a more natural kind of wide midfield winger position where he'd be more of a presser. And so this was their general structure from, I would say, neutral central positions in the middle third. And then from that moment, I think they understood that Arsenal liked to attack in wide areas, and so it became an interesting kind of wide trap moment where, again, as you can see on the opposite side of the field, Frimpong and Hincapié are literally touch tight, 40, 50 yards away from the ball. And then same concept on the near side. And then with Liverpool's, I'd say front four, which would have been their 2 9/10s and their 2 6s, those were the real kind of people pressing and oriented around the ball. It looked often in wide areas like a diamond where they kept their +1 at the back, and then they tried to keep the play on one side, leaving the opposite center back free on the opposite side. So again, like we've discussed a lot, Arsenal's intent was always to attack, or not always, but commonly to attack in wide areas. So Liverpool did a very good job, in my opinion, of understanding they're going to play in wide areas. How do we trap them in wide areas and send enough numbers to limit that threat? And in this case, the only free ball I think Arsenal had was from center back to the opposite side center back, and in that time they'd have enough time and space to recover. Is there anything from this that catches your eye from a defensive side, Jamie, as well?
No, I think we've covered pretty much the main points of it, Tommy. Like you say, yeah, they were, I think, fully expecting the wide attacks from Arsenal, and yeah, and I think they were they seemed okay with surrendering a possession in the first half. Certainly, they weren't too stressed. I don't think with jumping up and making really aggressive pressing actions. I think they were like, okay, like you've got the ball here and we're lined up on the line, and if you can beat us with a cross, then okay, but we're gonna say you can't. And it seemed a bit like that. And yeah, like you say, jumping on the sides when the moment was right.
And here's just another example of this on the opposite side of the field. Kind of same concept, um, same themes, man marking fullbacks, 2v1 versus Gyökeres, diamond press around the ball. And then as you can see, Saliba very clearly knows that he is the free player in this situation. But yeah, this is, I thought, very interesting. Maybe we'll see more of it from other teams against Arsenal as a way to defend them. I think we will. So it'll be very interesting to see how Arsenal evolve from this to try to score more goals.
And yeah, I guess it's that riff on the theme we're seeing a lot as well this season, isn't it? With going with the marking all of the attacking front line, right? If they attack with a line of five, then mark them, so that they lose that spatial advantage and they have trouble overloading, right? It's like take that advantage away, and it seemed like Liverpool were we're doing that, and you're able to get quick pressure on the sides, on the wingers and the fullbacks. That's super important when you're playing against these guys. So yeah, I think it was pretty effective.
Yep, and I think the diamond of around the ball was very important against the ball, but as we'll see now and we'll move into this diamond of four midfielders was also Liverpool at its best on the attacking side, very, very key to their attacking success. Even if you might say that there weren't a lot of moments of that, there were still a couple where you could see the intent and the purpose behind this diamond working together. And so now we're going to touch on that as well. Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the dynamics from Liverpool in possession, some of their structure, maybe some of the passes they looked for, something that maybe they could add more to the game to kind of create a goal that would have won this game. So from Liverpool's perspective, they built a lot in a back four with a diamond midfield, and then Gakpo and Frimpong often tasked with pinning back four players as two players, so occupying the space between fullback and center back, looking to run in behind after they created a midfield overload. And I think Liverpool in the past, maybe last year was slot, looked more like a box at times in their midfield overload. But I think this one, very clear that it was more of a midfield diamond with Gravenberch at the base of it, McAllister on the left, Szoboszlai on the right, and Wirtz as a 10, often working down as Arsenal look to press this base of the midfield diamond to ask Gabriel, maybe Saliba, but often Gabriel, are you willing to step that far and pick me up? And if not, it's going to create free space for me. And if Rice or Zubimendi feel like we can't leave Verse alone, then it creates more space for Liverpool's 2 6s. There was some variation to this with Kirkes maybe being more in a back three or Bradley being in a back three, with the other one kind of a little bit higher on the opposite side, providing some more width, and then Gravenberch or one of the eights dropping into a back three at times. But I think this was the real attacking structure. And then as you can see, I think at its best, this is a picture of the issues or the stress it causes on Arsenal's defensive shape, where you can see Gabriel and Rice both pointing at Szoboszlai as Konate receives, being like, who is picking up this player? Who's responsible? Where Gabriel clearly feels Rice is close enough to cover Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, while Rice feels like he's just pressed. Now someone has to come pick up Szoboszlai. So this was a picture of that, and now Jamie will talk us through a video of this as well.
Yeah, it's nice. I like a diamond shape, right? And I think it suits Liverpool. It suits the profile of the players, right? Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, like these are guys that can play, right? And it's nice to see them in those staggered heights, all gathered in the center, having those opportunities to play. This is actually the first half build up on the right hand side from Liverpool. They did it again a few minutes later, and they got that, well, I guess the chance, if you want to call it a chance, when Raya fluffs the clearance and they get the hits the crossbar, right? Is it Bradley hits the crossbar a little bit later?
Yeah.
This is just before it. We can see McAllister here again moving over a little bit to the ball side. Gravenberch has dropped in, and we see McAllister in. And what's interesting, you mentioned the kind of decisional crisis, right, for some of the Arsenal players in these moments. It's Rice, I think, has spotted the danger. He spotted that McAllister's come to the ball side and that there's a pass on to McAllister. I think Rice feels like he can get there, right? He can get to McAllister in the time that ball travels. He can make that move. And these, of course, are the things that, as a potential pressing player, it's super important to take into account. The distances of the pass, the strength of the pass. Do I have time to cover the ground? Rice thinks yes. He's late. He doesn't actually get there, but he's jumped, and now Szoboszlai is free. Again, just if Rice stays there, then it's okay, because McAllister does have pressure. Nketiah is also going to jump on Bradley. You can imagine if Rice just stayed there wouldn't be too much danger, but he goes for it. But Liverpool play out of it nice, right? That's some nice fluid combination play on the ball side, and they make a good situation for an attack. part of me thinks, I mean, maybe there's an opportunity to go against momentum and put it to Frimpong back on that side with Verts for that 2v1. But, it's not a bad option to Kirkez. It takes a little bit of the sting, maybe the momentum of the pass. And then you've got, I think Kirkez can do better with the final decision, the final cross. But it was a nice little indication of some of the fluidity, right, of Liverpool in that build-up, Tommy.
Yeah, and if you pause right here, this is something I think was interesting is Liverpool for the one or two moments it was beautiful football, but they caused damage to Arsenal as what I would call two of their three main presses. Arsenal often presses in a 4-4-2, but against the back three situation, sometimes it looks more like Trossard, Gyökeres, and Saka pressing the back three as the midfield of Rice and Odegaard pick up the two pivots, and Zubimendi occupies more of a right center back role in a back five. And I think in this clip that's what happens. And Hincapié maybe should release a bit quicker, etc. But towards the end of the clip, what I really like about this is Vertz's ability, as we'll see lower on the pitch as well, of as Zubimendi realizes he's got to engage, he moves outside of the shadow of his direct opponent. And this is something very small that I think Verts does incredibly well, and caused issues to Arsenal shape, whether it was a fullback that was supposed to jump because Zubimendi's closer to the back line, or if Odegaard and Rice are in more of those 50-50 situations, as we'll see a couple pictures and videos of that. But that was something I think, like you said, 2 6s or two of the three kind of central midfielders in a diamond becoming really ball oriented, that causes an Arsenal midfielder to jump really far. And then from that situation, Verts moves out of the shadow to receive the ball, and then asks questions of Arsenal shape, especially at the back. Hey, Gabriel or Hincapié, are you willing to follow me that far and expose yourself or the team? So I think that's small thing with Verts that I would have loved to see more, and something he does quite well. So now I'll show a picture of that as well. So in this situation, it's more of a 4-4-2 build against the back three, because Kirkez is in that line where Odegaard and Gyökeres are the front two. So then it asks Rice and Zubimendi to be more aggressive on two of Liverpool's pivots. And then from this situation, as you see, Verts is moving down at the same time after the 2 6s connect, asking Saliba and even Gabriel, are you willing to follow me in that moment? And if you are, maybe I try to exploit the space in behind. So this is, for me, one of the benefits of Liverpool's shape, and more of a kind of diamond focus with these four midfielders that, like you said, very ball oriented, move together, are in the same vertical channel, and some of the benefits of that as well.
Yeah, I even felt there was times in the game as well where they could have played Verts more often, right, and a little bit quicker and a little bit more proactive. I sometimes think of that with Cherky with Man City as well. It's like the pass maybe gets refused for a different route, and you look at Verts' body language, and he's like, "Oh man, give me the ball." It's like, yeah, I think they can get him in those situations a little sharper, a little quicker if their attention's tuned to it.
And here's a video kind of describing some of this in the second half of the game as well.
Yeah, Liverpool found a nice rhythm, I thought, in the second half. Like we mentioned, how these technical midfielders playing together, they were connecting well, and you can see a little inside ball there. That's the kind of pass you like to see, right, from Szoboszlai. Just these little, and it doesn't lead to anything direct, but just that confidence, just to fizz that in there. Yeah, Verts has got pressure coming from behind, but he knows he's cool. It's like, he can handle it. He's a good player. He's worth over 100 million. He can do it. And a little bit circulation, Verts dropping out, right, which we've seen a lot in this game, this kind of false nine free roll. And it gave Liverpool a lot of control because he was able to link with Szoboszlai, link with McAllister. McAllister loves this kind of game. We've seen him in the World Cup play for Argentina with Messi. Like, he loves this little central short pass combination around the corner game. I think it really suits him. Verts here, again, returning the favor with Szoboszlai. I like a little bit, again, close together, just bounce passing, manipulating, changing the picture. But in this moment, we have the nice combination, the nice give and go between, or the nice bounce pass between Wirtz and Szoboszlai. But for me now, like that is the ball in towards where that D is. And if you have a number 9 like Ekatike, you can see that passing line is open now. And that could be a pass and move from Wirtz. It could be a third man connection from one of the other Liverpool players. Could be a Ekatike to receive and turn. But you can see Gakpo there, just a little disconnected, I would say, on the edge of the box there. Yeah, maybe he's occupying a couple of players, but I think the function he can have is way more dangerous if he approaches Wirtz and comes for that direct ball into the central space where they combine. So I think there was some really nice stuff from Liverpool in terms of like fluidity between in the opposition's half, moving the ball around. But just that final one, that final connection to make the chance to generate the goal threat, I think was lacking. And I tend to think that if Ekatike was in Gakpo's role, we would have seen some more interesting things. Ekatike can start on the left, sure, but he can play more central a lot of the time if Wirtz is vacated, right? Because that seems more natural, right?
Yeah, and one thing I love about that, if you go back to when Wirtz plays the bounce pass right here, this is something I've seen Vitinha do. So as you can see, he's passed and he looks like he's moving for a 1-2. And it's like a pass and don't move or a double move.
Yeah.
And Vitinha is, for me, one of the best at doing this. And then as you saw that passing angle that opens up to the 9, sometimes he carries it all the way through that moment. So that's something that when we talk about some of these kind of maverick-like players opening up avenues for themselves. And this is one little small move that I love seeing players like Vitinha, Wirtz, or Cherky, these type of players use those more often because it's very subtle and it opens the game up.
Yeah, I thought it was an improvement from Liverpool. I think it works with Wirtz in that role, linking up. But yeah, I would love to see it with Ekatike, who I love, by the way. I think he's such a nice striker. Ekatike said his favorite striker was Benzema, right? And that's a man with some good taste right there. You know, I'll take that kind of number 9 all day long. So yeah, interesting to see where Liverpool go from that. So I think some promising stuff for me.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think from an overall state of Liverpool, they have found a way to use the ball and use some of their key players at the same time to stem some of those losses that they were having earlier in the season. And yes, some of those losses have only turned into more draws, but they're moving in the right direction. I think it's very interesting to see when they have all these players back, what that would look like. So yeah, I think this was an interesting dynamic for this game, and I think we'll leave it there. And again, thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you for listening to the new crew of us two. And hopefully you're taking away some information on Arsenal's attacking wide intent, Liverpool's defensive shape with some of their wide midfielders and fullbacks, and then some of the attacking dynamics that they've created with their midfield diamond and some of their new players, but then with some of them returning, what that can possibly look like. So if Jamie, if you have anything to add, I think we'll leave it there afterwards.
Not at all. It'd just be nice to have some goals next time, right, Tommy? That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, would be nice, but we can't have everything.
We can't have everything, exactly. We can't have everything. We got to be content. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, look forward to the next one.